Good evening, everybody. Welcome once again to the Lepanto Institute's Anchor Team. I'm your host, Michael Hitchborn. And, well, I'm going to say this isn't just an episode of the Anchor Team. This is the Murphy's Law episode of the Anchor Team. And I'll explain to you what that means in just a moment as we move forward with a couple of things. But before we do anything, why don't we go ahead and start with our prayer? In nomine Patris, et Filii, et Spiritus Sancti. Amen. Ave Maria, gratia plena, Dominus tecum. Benedicta tu in mulieribus, et benedictus fructus ventris tui, Iesus. Sancta Maria, Mater Dei, ora pro nobis peccatoribus, nunc et in hora mortis nostrae. Amen. Our Lady of Victory, pray for us. In nomine Patris, et Filii, et Spiritus Sancti. Amen. So, in the ever-elusive attempt to have one particular guest, my friend Pat Looby, joined the program. Once again, he's not able to join us. This whole saga started a couple of weeks ago when I was going to have him on. And what happened was all of a sudden, YouTube decided, hey, we didn't like the interview that you did with Stephen Mosier because you mentioned certain things about a certain country and a certain shall we say, biological entity that we didn't like. And we think that that's misinformation, so therefore you get a strike. Okay, so it gets preempted a week. Before that week is up, I get hit with another strike because our gracious hosts here at the YT channel station apparently we're sifting through some of our old broadcasts and found one from several years ago that may or may not have mentioned anything related to what they didn't like. And so they said, yep, that's strike two, you naughty pants. And they gave us strike two and stuck us with a 2-week suspension, which of course puts us on that ever fine line right towards the abyss. If you get that naughty strike 3, you darn dirty people. So we are sitting on pins and needles, hoping that they do not nuke our channel. Oh, you gracious masters of the universe, you. And we're just kind of working on actually transitioning everything over to Spiritus TV. You may have noticed, if you are subscribers to our YouTube channel, if you are not, by the way, this is a great opportunity to do this, go down there and click subscribe for however long it lasts. But do so anyway. And if you can, please hit that like button. It helps to up the ratings, to get as many people to see our content as possible when they get to see this content, until, of course, YouTube decides they don't like us anymore and they want to kick us out. So here we are, waiting to see if we're going to get that really nasty, terrible third strike that kicks us off of YouTube. But we have downloaded our content. We are moving it over to Spiritus. We will be actually broadcasting on Spiritus very soon. They're just finalizing a few things. They say that they're testing out the live stream from StreamYard, which is the program I use, so that we can do the content over there, and then we can just go ahead and start broadcasting on Spiritus. I'll still use YouTube because it's a good way to get as many eyes on the channel as we can. But for the most part, when it comes to our behind the paywall issues, which we're going to get going back to here pretty soon, then we'll be using Spiritus TV exclusively. When we open it up to the general public, we'll dip into the YouTube pool for a little bit and try and pull more subscribers. But until then, it's going to be mostly Spiritus. Hopefully everything will work out. Hopefully their streaming service is going to be primo and everything will be fine. It's just a matter of getting to that point. So that's the update on that part of things. When we were hit with our first strike, my guest, Pat Looby, was supposed to be joining us that Thursday. And I said, Pat, unfortunately, yes, Spiritus TV does have a live chat function. So Holy Redeemer asks, does it have live chat? The answer is yes, they do. So, my friend Pat said, nah, no problem. Things were actually kind of busy for us this week, and next week would be better. So we switched to the following word. That, of course, is when we got hit with strike 2 and an additional 2-week suspension. And we contacted him and said, this is kind of crazy, but unfortunately we're on a 2-week suspension now, which means we won't be able to do it until today. And he said, yeah, no problem. We'll do it then. This afternoon, after we had gotten everything together and we were all lined up, he told me that he and his family are having a terrible reaction to the typhoid shot that they had to take in order to go down to South America, where they're going to be doing their mission work. And he is really, really sick. So please keep him in your prayers. It's just been a real trial for him as he's trying to get to the point that he can actually do missionary work. And it's just, there's so many blocks to just doing real charity, to helping anybody. It's like the world doesn't want you to be charitable. Isn't that interesting? So he's sick. He can't join us this evening, which means I get to do a song and dance routine to try and entertain you for the next 45 minutes. But what I'm going to do actually is kind of go over some things that we have been reporting on for the last several weeks, things that you're probably aware of, things that you may or may not be aware of. So the first thing I want to tell you about is our most recent report. I'm going to put the link here in the comments section. Our most recent report, which is it's a continuation of our report on Caritas, on Common Spirit Health. I've been actually doing tons of interviews for the last week and a half on this. We put out the report last week. The Daily Wire did a story on it. Epoch Times did a story on it. And I've had, I think probably a dozen interviews over the course of the last week on this particular topic. In fact, the reason I'm late is because I had an interview lined up this evening that I had to do on this very topic. So you want the Damien Cuteness channel. You know what? The Damien Cuteness channel would be awesome. He is a lot of fun. Very, very cute kid, likes to smile, very kind of serious. He just kind of looks around. He's very observant, doesn't seem to get bothered by much. So yeah, it would be a fun channel. Anyway, so Common Spirit Health, let's dive into this. I'm going to present, share screen. Let's go to sharing that screen, and let me make this a little bit bigger so that you guys can see what's on the screen. Okay. So here we have the largest Catholic health network partnered with an abortion provider. As you'll recall, back in June, I published that 64-page report that shows that Common Spirit Health was performing sex change surgeries. They were providing puberty blockers for kids. They were doing or prescribing and providing the hormone therapies for sex transitioning. And we published that report. Incidentally, I got word that the bishops that were meeting in Orlando at the time that our report was published believe that I intentionally timed the publication of my report to coincide with their meeting. The funny thing is that wasn't my intention at all. In fact, I had every intention of releasing this report 2 or 3 weeks prior to that, because I was really antsy to get it out there. I kept promising you guys, okay, we're going to publish the report. Oh, nope, not yet. We're going to publish it this week. Oh, nope, not yet. And it kept getting delayed and delayed and delayed. And I was getting really frustrated because I know that you were getting frustrated. And it just goes to show that Our Lady knows exactly when things need to be released. So the date that it was released happened to be the beginning of the bishops' meeting in Florida. And during the meeting in Florida, what they were talking about was whether they were going to change the ERDs, the ethical and religious directives for Catholic healthcare, to include prohibitions against sex change surgeries, puberty blockers for kids, the hormone therapies for trans whatevers, And they wanted to kind of talk about how the person is not divorced from their biological reality, that their soul cannot be different from their body. You can't have a female soul in a male body. It's not a thing. So the bishops were debating whether they were going to do that, and our report was dropped at that same time. And it seems, I am told, that it actually influenced the meeting, and the bishops wound up voting unanimously in order to change the ethical and religious directives. Nonplussed by this were individuals like Cardinal McElroy and Cardinal Supich, who pushed hard to make sure that, well, we need to include testimonies from people who are transgender, and we need to include testimonies from doctors who have been treating these people so that we know what we're talking about. You're talking about allowing somebody who has a screw loose, who has been abused by the medical system to wreck their bodies, to instruct you bishops on morality, on Catholic metaphysical realities. No, I'm sorry, it doesn't work that way. But this is what these modernists want to do. They want to make you feel bad about doing the right thing. So it's very interesting the way it played out. Well, anyway, after the publication of that report, I got a tip that that Common Spirit had partnered with TIA Women's Health. And they were telling me that, hey, TIA is providing abortions. So I had to actually go through, what is the nature of this relationship? How did it start? What does it mean that they're partnered up? When did this happen? Is it possible that they were unaware that this organization was providing abortions? When did they start providing abortions? That kind of thing. So I had to go into the history of, by the way, this is actually a screenshot from TIA Women's Health. This is their website's screenshot where they were talking about their app called Ask TIA. And it's disgusting. I mean, you can see right here. I don't want to read it. It's gross. It's obviously pornographic, but it's horrible. But I had to go through and figure out who they were and what they were doing. And I found pretty quickly, yeah, from the very beginning, they were basically pushing the same kind of ideologies that Planned Parenthood pushes. So there really is no getting around that. They would have known, yeah, they started off as a birth control app that was designed to help women just to figure out what kind of birth control they should be using. They opened up their first brick and mortar location in New York in 2019. And the idea was that they were going to create kind of a day spa feel for women's health. You know, you could go in for your general practitioner visit, and you could go in for, your gynecological exam and your breast exam, and you'd be given a silk robe, and you'd have your cucumber water, and you could have an acupuncture session, and they'd have the aromatherapy going, and the soft music, and the candles, and so it feels like a day spa. You go in, you get your exam, yeah, and to be honest, for a woman, I think that's wonderful. I think any kind of women's clinic that is designed to do all of that, just that, would be awesome. But to include birth control as essential and a core element of this, to fill it with nasty sex education stuff, as you can see in the image that kind of exposes what they're talking about, and then to also offer the ability to kill your child in a setting like that is despicable. So they took a great idea, something that I think is laudable, and they turned it into this vicious, horrible, terrible monster. It's kind of like the anglerfish, if you're familiar with what an anglerfish is. If you don't know what an anglerfish is, I'll show you. Let me see, stop screen. I'll show you what an anglerfish is, because I think that this is a perfect example of what they do. And let me get an image of an anglerfish so you can see. Let me find a nice good, clean. No, I don't want anglerfish taste. Nobody wants to eat an anglerfish. They're disgusting. Okay, here we go. Here's a good image of an anglerfish. I'll show you. All right, share screen. Anglerfish, there. So here's an anglerfish. Let me zoom in. That's an anglerfish. I hate when they do that. So you can see the fish. It's got these long, sharp, nasty teeth and these dead eyes, and its whole body is basically its gut. I mean, look at the size of that maw. It has this probe, and this probe has these little spiny things on there, and it glows. And what happens is the plankton or the little jellyfish and the little shrimp and things like that live in the deepest, darkest parts of the ocean. I mean, it is pitch black. You can't see 3 feet in front of you because it is so black. And the anglerfish, it floats around, and you might see that little light. And so if you're a little fish and you go, oh, there's a light. Oh, there's a light. There's something for me to look at. There's something to attract me. And it goes over to that light and it says, oh, look at that. It's so wonderful. And then those sharp, horrible teeth are right there ready to snatch it and eat it. That is what Tia Women's Health is doing. Okay, that's what they're trying to provide. They're trying to tell women that we have this beautiful thing. Come, it's attractive, it's wonderful, it's this great experience. And then they'll murder your child. Let me show you some of what they actually say about their organization. So going back, so Tia Women's Health, they partnered with Common Spirit in 2021. The idea, it said, the deal enables the two healthcare leaders to launch Tia branded women's health clinics together that will provide comprehensive blended virtual in-person care, with plans for the first clinic in Phoenix, where Common Spirit operates multiple Dignity Health medical centers. The joint venture will combine a multitude of services and practitioners into a one-stop shop for women that fuses gynecological care and primary care. Tia will provide its distinctive care model, staffing, and technology infrastructure, while Common Spirit will connect Tia to patients, healthcare partners, and hospital and specialty care access. All right, and here, this is from Tia's website, listing their partners, and it's circled Common Spirit. We also found out that a person, a VP, a system VP from Common Spirit Health, is on the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Advisory Council for Tia. And we also found that Tia owns 65% of Tia, Arizona. Common Spirit owns 65%. And we found their location, okay? We got all of this. This is their CEO from 2009. Stop the abortion ban. 2015. An honest but I think she means important truth about abortion, a choice that affects us all. Stand with Planned Parenthood. In 2016, she's complaining, she's celebrating the fact that Health HB2 stands up for abortion rights. She's talking about the need for abortion coverage in healthcare. And then, of course, here in 2019, this is 2 years before Tia partnered with Common Spirit. 2019. On the anniversary of Roe versus Wade, more than 29 million women in the U.S. aged 13 to 44 live in states that are either hostile or very hostile towards abortion rights. And then they say, this is their own thing. Choice over your own body and health is the foundation for equality. Tia. This is from 2019, February of 2019. We are not able to provide abortion services at the Tia Clinic going out the gate, but fully intend in the future, as we expand our scope of services, one day we will provide all options counseling and seamless referrals to abortion providers we trust in New York City. Or on day one, they'll do that. So they're already providing referrals for abortions, and they say that we will provide abortion services in the future. There's no way Common Spirit didn't know this. So going through a lot of their tweets, you can just see they're very pro-abortion. They're celebrating abortion. Here on May 6, 2022, they say, this is the CEO and founder of TIA, abortion is health care. Okay. Ask TIA, we believe abortion care is a critical component of women's health. Then they say, starting this week, this is in 2022, this is May 13th, 2022. Starting this week, TIA is proud to expand our services to include medication abortion. So 2019, they announced that they are going to do this. They then say, and they then partner with Common Spirit. And then in 2022, they're doing it. They're providing abortion services. Abortion is healthcare. Okay, on and on and on. We have all this evidence to show that that TIA is providing abortions. They had every intention to provide abortions. They were always ever going to provide abortions. And I went through a bunch of other details to show that, yeah, they're providing abortions. And I quoted them extensively. I show here on their website under gynecological care, oh yeah, they'll provide emergency contraception. And they say abortion. Seeking medication for abortion, if you're less than 8 weeks pregnant, we offer medication abortion at home. So they make it very clear. And they also continue to provide contraception and IUD stuff. So there is no way that Common Spirit didn't know about this. There's no way that Common Spirit was ignorant of what they were intending to do. There's no way that they are currently ignorant of what they are doing. But the bottom line is that because Common Spirit partnered with TIA Women's Health, what happened is TIA was then able to propel itself from a mere $30 million operation to operate one location in New York and its birth control app, which, it sounds like a lot of money, but the fact of the matter is when you have a brick and mortar location, it takes a lot of money, especially in medical practice. So it is expensive, and $30 million is not outside the realm of the ballpark for operating something like that. But they went from a $30 million operation to a $120 million operation almost overnight the minute they partnered with Common Spirit. Why? Because Common Spirit, by partnering with them, was able to say, you know what? Why don't you get familiar with some of our other friends and partners and financiers and people who would be very interested in doing what you're doing? And they were able to go to them and say, hey, we got this relationship now with Common Spirit. They're the largest Catholic health provider in the country. And we are a great organization. You can look at our day spa business model for helping women in their healthcare. And of course, people just say, here, take my money. And that's what happened. And now they've got dozens of locations open. I don't know exactly how many, but certainly a lot more than the 2 that they started with. So Common Spirit was integral in propelling them into this massive organization that it now has become. And it's very clear. Their whole intention is to be Planned Parenthood 2.0. They want to be the clean day spa version of the blood on the wall image that they have of Planned Parenthood. So they're taking Planned Parenthood and saying, yeah, they're dingy and gross. You don't want to go there. Come to our day spa where you can murder your baby without even realizing it. That's what they're doing. And it's sick. It's sick. So I've been doing all kinds of interviews talking about this. As you can tell, I'm pretty well practiced on this interview now. I've got it almost all in my head at this point, but it's a very important story, and we're trying to get as much information out there as we can on this. And we want, the most important thing is that people contact. I think actually what I'm going to do tomorrow when I send out my newsletter, I'm going to ask people to contact the papal nuncio, write to the nuncio and tell him, hey, Common Spirit Health is providing sex change surgeries, and now they are admitting to providing or partnering with this abortion organization. By the way, one of the things that came out of this report, let me see if I can find it. There is a section where somebody was quoted with Common Spirit Health. And what they said was, let me see here. Where is it? I know I saw this. There was a section. Oh, here we go. In 2021, there was an interview that Tia did with a company called fastcompany.com. And the article was titled, "This Millennial Health Brand is Expanding with a Controversial Partner." And they're talking about Common Spirit because they were like, you're partnering with a Catholic organization? Maybe that's not really such a good idea because, you know, the Catholics, they don't really like birth control and abortion. So what are you doing here? Get this. This is a quote from the article. "As a Catholic system, Common Spirit and its sub-brand Dignity Health abide by the statement of common values, which means it doesn't perform elective abortion services or use reproductive technology in which conception occurs outside a woman's body, including in vitro fertilization. A representative for Common Spirit says that its doctors refer patients out to other clinics when they need these services." What do you think that means? A representative for Common Spirit says that its doctors refer patients out to other clinics when they need these services, meaning elective abortions. So right here, Common Spirit was admitting if somebody needs an elective abortion, we'll go ahead and refer them out to somebody else. That's a direct participation in grave moral evil and is itself a mortal sin. The article goes on, it says, TIA, which does not currently provide abortion or fertility services, has signed the Statement of Common Values. TIA will be allowed to refer out, as it does in New York, for services it can't provide, like obstetrics. Also, abortion. That's the underlying theme here. They're going to be allowed by Common Spirit Health to do this. And Common Spirit admitted that they do it themselves. So all of this is to say, we need to contact the papal nuncio. There has to be a canonical investigation. There's got to be a push, a concerted push from Catholics to contact the papal nuncio and to inundate him, to say, we need a canonical case brought against this organization which claims to be Catholic, because there's nothing Catholic about it. There's no way this organization can be allowed to call itself Catholic, and it is up to the Vatican to make that stop. So I'm going to include that in tomorrow's newsletter. Let's see, what else do we have going on? Oh, so I want to show you. I've told you about this report. I didn't get a chance to really explain this report much, but I'll explain it to you now, because why not? We don't have a guest this evening. So, whoops, there we go. All right. So, this is our report. It's actually 30 pages long. It's a report on the priests of the Sacred Heart. You might know them as the Dahonians. They also have the St. Joseph Indian School. They've got the St. Joseph, the Sacred Heart Foundation, and the Priests of the Sacred Heart. Their letters are SCJ. They send out an awful lot of fundraising letters, and they have a very strong fundraising campaign. I think their headquarters is in Wisconsin. Yes, as Karen says, they're in my backyard. And yes, I know where you are. And yes, they are. So here's the thing. This is just a brief summary of our findings. Through their publications, articles written by priests and associates of the order in Dahonian-owned publications directly promote women's ordination and LGBTQ activism. For example, Settimana News, a Dahonian-owned publication, published an article titled in Italian, Donne prete Dio lo vuole, or translated to Women Priests, God Wants It. Through its leadership, Past and current leadership and influential members of the Priests of the Sacred Heart were found publicly promoting women's ordination, contraception, LGBTQ activism, and I'll get into some of that. Through their programs, the Dahonian St. Joseph School promotes a modernist tolerance for syncretism and ritualistic practices. The school regularly equates Lakota traditional practices such as smudging to Catholic sacramentals such as holy water and claims the pagan ritual has spiritual power. Furthermore, Native Hope, a Dahonian outreach program from the Indian school, has promoted a Planned Parenthood sex educator as well as transgenderism in its podcasts. And then through its partnerships, the Dahonians had for years regularly funded and supported the now defunct Eighth Day Center for Justice. Boy, were they awful. Even giving it a place of seminary formation, while the Eighth Day Center openly pushed for gay marriage and women's ordination. It's really, really bad what we found. So I want to show you. So here's an image of their publication. Remember, this is published by the Dahonians. Okay. Priest women or women priests, God wants it. And here they have this picture. Sister Monica Amanangar feels called to become a priest. And then she says that I would like to be ordained. The priesthood, as it is currently understood, should also change for women who are not celibate like me, but have family and children or are queer. Okay, not heterosexual. They have another article, Crisis That Empowers the Church. It was published by the Dahonian International website. And it also promotes the idea of female priesthood, as well as the church accepting LGBTQ individuals. As for the female priesthood, it is necessary to distinguish the common priesthood of the laity due to baptism from what is the ministerial priesthood that is conferred with the sacrament of holy orders. One must also ask what Jesus would do today, not what he did 20 centuries ago. Are you kidding me? I am the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Okay. And then it says this. Many ask for the possibility of a permanent female diaconate. In the Amazon Synod, more than 2/3 asked for it. Acceptance and openness towards everyone, including LGBTQ, etc., etc. And we've got other articles that they published. The Dahonian International. This is the international version of the Dahonians, the international headquarters, which is in Italy. They all are pushing together this one ideology. Each person should be proud of how God created them, because homosexuality or heterosexuality is not a capricious decision of anyone. It is part and only part of someone who is a human person. So now they're saying that if you have gay tendencies or homosexual tendencies, that's because it's who you are on the inside. And there's more. I mean, the number of articles that we discovered was atrocious. And then we found also here in the U.S., the United States headquarters, they were pushing the Eighth Day Center for Justice. And we have different articles talking about what the Eighth Day Center is, what it came from, what kind of ideologies they were pushing. And it just goes on and on. We found how much money they were giving to the Eighth Day Center. We found that even at one point there was concern that the Eighth Day Center was providing funding to this group. And some of the Dahonians, to their credit, said, you know what, maybe we should consider not funding this organization because there seem to be problems here. And they stopped funding them for a brief period and then went right back to funding them again because we really like what they do and we don't care about the concerns. So that's what it was. We also found, here's a letter of, this is just background to show, the Eighth Day Center is as terrible as we said it was. We've got all the evidence there. Let's see. Then, we have all these grants that they gave. I mean, the whole stuff about their interactions with the Eighth Day Center was pretty eye-opening. Then we discovered this guy named Father Bob Bossie. Robert Bossie is currently actively retired, but holds several prominent positions for the Priests of the Sacred Heart in the U.S. Currently, he is the interim chairperson of the Dohonians JPRC, which is Justice and Peace and something else. I can't remember what it stands for. He serves on the board of admissions for the Dohonians, meaning he's screening the seminarians, and most recently was recommended as an interim director for the JPRC. He was also tasked with writing descriptions for the 2024 Priests of the Sacred Heart North American Conference on the threats of climate change and nuclear weapons and its preparatory committee. Okay, so he's really important. He's a bigwig there. He's involved in a whole lot of stuff, and we found here are meeting minutes where he is getting funding, continuing funding from the Priests of the Sacred Heart. Well, then we discovered that Father Bossie was really into women's ordination, contraception, homosexuality, and he is a communist. He's a flat-out commie. Look at this. So this is from his Facebook page. Here he's celebrating Roy Bourgeois, he was a very prominent pro-women's ordination priest who was actually excommunicated by the Vatican. Here he is pushing women's ordination on his own Facebook page. Yes, more women priests and bishops, he says, or he endorses here. Here he is marching with the Eighth Day Center. Here he is posting about how, your boss in birth control. So he's all about supporting birth control. He's celebrating free birth control in Colorado. Here he has a post claiming Jesus has no opinion on homosexuality. This is what a real Christian sounds like, and it's a quote from Jimmy Carter saying that Jesus never said anything about homosexuality. Come on. Here in 2013, he posted on Facebook that you can purchase your Pride merch at Target. So go get it. Here he is talking about Catholics for LGBT equality, and here he is pushing all the homo stuff, and it's just pretty rotten. So yeah, we found all kinds of stuff. Where's more homo stuff, refuse fascism. Here we go. I hope it's not lost on 70% of the population that they already worship a Jewish socialist. So here he's calling Jesus a socialist, in also further indicating that, yeah, he's also a socialist. So anyway, I mean, like I said, this is a very, very long report. Here, okay, this is the St. Joseph Indian School. And here we have a screenshot showing holy water and Lakota smudging, the similarities and differences. Basically, they say that it's basically the same. Here we talk about Native Hope and the funding of Native Hope, how it's actually a project of the Dohonians. And we talk about how on 2019, Native Hope invited musician and sex educator for Planned Parenthood, Becky Jones, onto its podcast. The podcast spoke approvingly of Jones's work for Planned Parenthood. Quote, Becky Jones of the Navajo Nation is from Widow Rock, Arizona. By day, she works professionally as a sex educator for Planned Parenthood, as it is a personal passion for her to be an active voice in purposeful spaces. In this interview, she shares her beginnings as a musician, as well as providing further insight into important topics facing Indigenous women, queer identifying individuals, and trans folk. Using her femme voice, she screams rather than sings, providing awareness to political issues. She calls out hetero cisgender males, and it's just on and on and on. So, the bottom line is the priests of the Sacred Heart are completely corrupt thoroughly corrupt. I mean, they are the Jesuits in a different face, with just a different set of letters behind their name. But they're effectively no better than the Jesuits. What's fascinating is that on August 14th, so we published that article. When did we publish that article? We published it on August the 6th. On August 14th, and I will share this. Let me share this image so you can see it. Okay. This is the statement from the Dahonians regarding our report, and it's very short. On August 14th, statement regarding the Lepanto Institute, Priests of the Sacred Heart. Recently, we learned that an organization called the Lepanto Institute posted a variety of negative statements about the Priests of the Sacred Heart. We understand why such statements could be cause for concern. We will not respond to the comments posted other than to say that we believe that our lengthy history of service to the church and God's people stands on its own and is a witness to the integrity of the priests of the Sacred Heart. The compassionate and pastoral actions seen in our schools, parishes, social service, outreach, healthcare assistance, as well as many other ministries are our response to the Institute's posting. Notice what they say here. It's actually what they don't say that stands out. They said, we posted a variety of negative statements about the priests of the Sacred Heart. Those statements were your statements. All we did was expose what you yourself had written. They said, we understand why such statements could be cause for concern. You understand why they for concern? Whoops, let me stop sharing the screen. There we go. They're cause for concern because they're awful. Because what your people have written, what you have produced, what you're putting out is terrible. It is really bad. It's not just a matter of our concerns. It's what you yourself have said. So their response is, oh, we're not going to say anything about that. Oh, okay. So you're just going to let the prosecution rest. In effect, if this was a courtroom, the prosecution walks in with a massive stack of evidence, photographs, fingerprints, blood samples, DNA samples, a smoking gun, all the weapons involved, the dead body, everything. The whole gamut, all the witnesses who say, yep, they said this and this and this, and I saw that and that and that, everything. Prosecution walks in with a stack. And they go and they present their case to the judge and the jury. And they say, Your Honor, here's the case that we have. They lay everything out. And then the defense says, we'll let our own personal record stand as our defense. You're not going to challenge the evidence. You're not going to cross-examine the witnesses. You're not going to clarify the evidence. You're just going to let your record stand as your own defense. Well, the problem is your record is exactly the stack of papers that we provided as evidence against you. So there we are. The Dahonians, the priests of the Sacred Heart, are acting directly against the church's teachings. They are no better than the AUSCP. They're no better than Call to Action. They're no better than the Jesuit agenda. They are all the same. These people are heretics. These people are pushing an anti-Catholic agenda, and they are trying to pervert and destroy souls. And they are trying to take as much money to do it as they possibly can. So that's what we got. Let's see. I see some questions here. One question. Do you think they actually say masses for the dead that you send in the money for the mass cards? Well, here's the thing. If they take money to say a mass, they have a canonical obligation to say that mass. And if they don't, I believe it is it is a mortal sin. I can't answer to whether they do it or not. I don't have any evidence, but what I can say is that they've imperiled themselves even further if they're not. Let's see. Off topic, but do you have any insight for safe charities to help the fire victims in Maui? I do know that the Vulnerable People Project went into Hawaii to help the victims, to help bring people out, and to help resettle people. So I know that they were directly involved. I would recommend them. That's Jason Jones's organization. He's a fantastic human being. He does wonderful work. I can't recommend him enough. I'd have to look at some of the other safe charities that we post on our list. But what you can do, go to and I'll share the screen here. Let's go to share screen. All right. So you can see, don't need that. Come on, open up. Oh, maybe it's not going to activate because of the shared screen. I don't know. Come on. Okay, it's not going to show me. Yeah, well, anyway, if you go to the charity reports page and you look down our list, you'll see the organizations that are safe. If you click on the name of the organization, you'll be able to see, it'll take you straight to their website. And for the ones that are safe, it'll take you straight to the website. And a lot of times they'll have front and center the latest disaster that they're involved in, that they're actively helping with. So just go through the list, look for the ones that are safe, and try and see which ones are doing something to help the relief efforts in Maui. And those are the ones you should go to. But use our charity reports list to find those particular organizations, and then go ahead and give to those. Let's see if we have any more questions before I sign off for this evening. Let's see. Anything else? No, I think that'll cover it. So, all right. I'm glad I was able to do a song and dance routine for you to fill an hour due to the sad circumstances of our guest, who unfortunately had to cancel due to illness. So we're going to go ahead and close with two Aves, one for a regular closing, but then the second one for the health of the family of Pat Looby. Pat, get better soon. We want to have you on the program so we can talk about the good work that you're going to be doing in South America. So let's go ahead and close with two Aves. In nomine Patris, et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Amen. Ave Maria, gratia plena, Dominus tecum. Benedicta tu in mulieribus et benedictus fructus ventris tui, Iesus. Sancta Maria, Mater Dei, ora pro nobis peccatoribus, nunc et in hora mortis nostrae. Amen. Ave Maria, gratia plena, Dominus tecum. Benedicta tu in mulieribus et benedictus fructus ventris tui, Iesus. Sancta Maria, Mater Dei, ora pro nobis peccatoribus, nunc et in hora mortis nostrae. Amen. Our Lady of Victory, pray for us. In nomine Patris, et Filii, et Spiritus Sancti. Amen. All right, everybody. It's been a great time. I'm so glad we were finally able to connect, and I will see you again next week, either with Pat Looby or with somebody else. We'll have a guest. We'll have a good time, and I will talk to you next week. Have a